Cool. Hello, everyone. Sorry about that. It's a good thing Twitch has that disconnect protection feature. Even if sometimes it feels like the timer should be a bit longer, it is nice to have in terms of keeping your VODs all nice and tidy and unbroken. Hope everyone's having a good day. And/or holiday, depending on where you are. I mean, it's President's Day for some people. Well, it's a Twitch feature. It's like a 90-second timer if your OBS crashes or you disconnect weirdly. Hey, Emily Rose. Hey, Abscond. Yeah, so whenever you see the not like this guy on stream, that's what's happening. I was in the middle of saying something. Oh yeah, it's President's Day or Family Day. I think it keeps your VODs together. I think that's like the main. I think so. You know, I'm not sure anymore, but I think it does. Yeah, because otherwise, wait, no. I don't remember what happened the first stream. It did disconnect, and I don't know if I got back in time or not. But I don't have two VODs right now, so I think we're fine for today. Although I do have two VODs for the first part. Whoops. Yeah. So this is the end of our long weekend here in Ontario. So we had a nice long weekend. That was good. Ate probably too much food. Oh shoot. Never mind. Fine. And we're ready to get back to Bioshock. We got somewhere new, so we're like about to explore Fort Frolic. That's where we are. We're about to start exploring Fort Frolic in a second. We're also at a casino. I don't know if this is the right save or not. I think it might have been. I'll check the load save menu again and see what it says. This one's from like 7 minutes later. Should probably load that one. Fontaine and thugs killed in fiery shootout. Sometimes I feel like I almost need a bit of a refresher and some things. Not a refresher. Like Andrew Ryan set up the city. Fontaine just became a big drug / smuggling kingpin because of Adam. Then everything got messed up. I feel like I'm forgetting something. Crazy German scientist, classic. Anything else? Any major players? Is Atlas. Whose family is dead, maybe, I guess. He's angry.
If things weren't bad enough, it seems that even our water system sprung a leak. Yep, that's right. Irrigation system in Arcadia is taking on seawater. I told Mr. Ryan when we were building this place, either you build her like a bathtub, or she's gonna turn into a sewer. No, McDonough.
Oh, shoot.
Children with their very long needles.
I canceled that.
Songs, their ghastly errands, their ghoulish Frankenstein fathers. But we've all placed our hand on the great chain of endeavor. My hand is on it. Fontaine's is on it.
Was that a radio
We
message?
all pull it and are pulled by it. Yes, These children are an abomination. But it is not my hand alone on the chain that created them. No. Their little fingers were right there, next to mine.
So what am I doing here? I'm going there. Wait, go to Hephaestus. Alright. Well, this seems like a tricky trap. Did I break the subtitles? Are they just stuck? Never mind, it's fine.
That's better. Atlas Ryan. Atlas Ryan. Da 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 da. Time-wise, you could get something decent on the radio. The artist has a duty to seduce the ear and delight the spirit. So say goodbye to those two blowhards, and hello to an evening with Sandra
Syria seems more fun.
Cohen.
Maybe.
No, I haven't seen a sign of real life down here in months. Let's see if you're just another Johnny-come-lately, or maybe something more.
These weren't here. Neither were those guys. Get down from there. Yeah.
Nicely done. Where did you study?
They're too far up to loot. Okay, there we go.
Come where I can. Where you going, honey?
Come back! Please!
The fire! The fire! The fire! It's real!
I was just getting warmed up!
Slimy
You're
bastard.
only making me hot! Come back!
I can smell the malt vinegar in this one.
The
I
malt
waited
vinegar.
so long for something tasty to come to this little burg, but all that pass are yokels and rubes. Where are my manners? Come in! Come in!
Can you smell my malt
Santa
vinegar,
awaits
chat?
you at the Fleet Hall.
How's that malt vinegar smelling? Malt vinegar is good. Give me some fries. I'll put some malt vinegar on them any day. Oh. That was close. Oh. I need ammo. Of really just kind of all sorts. Thankfully, I don't need health. I'm just gonna leave it at that for now. Quick save. Yo, we got big money. Okay. 40 bucks. Should I save again before someone tries to kill me after I got my money?
Fort Frolic.
Probably.
No need to thank me for jamming the transmissions of those boors, Atlas and Ryan. Let them have their squabble. The artist, yes, The artist knows there is richer earth to till. For example, I test you, little moth, but for a reason. I test all my disciples. Some shine like galaxies, and some burn like a moth at the flame. Come now, into my home.
So he's like plastering up these people.
Nobody allowed backstage prior to showtime, little moth. Fidgety, fidgety,
I don't like rearrange this stuff. Telekinesis here, Electro Bolt here, Winter Blast, Incinerate, and Bees. There we go. Like I'd rather have, I guess, 2 less tiles. Yeah, no. I would rather split the tiles I'm getting rid of than just get rid of 2 alarm overload ones, even though that doesn't matter that much. Photographer's eye is kind of nice. Keep that. I almost forgot about all the hacking minigames. Almost. It was a nice time.
Welcome to the Circus of Value.
Don't really need any of these, actually. Oh, crossbow. Right, we're gonna get one of those soon. What is this thing? Got this camera. There we are. Okay. Don't really need that. Unless I want anti-personnel auto rounds, which I'll live with. I actually have so many. Maybe I should just keep them equipped for now. Nice picture. What? This isn't even the right slot. Thought I switched these slots and then it like didn't. Oh no, they go backwards. Wait. No, I don't know. Whatever. I'm a gent. I can go in here. Very nice staging. Nothing really in here, huh? Wait. Oh, I thought maybe I could telekinesis that door off and then find something. Doesn't seem to be the case.
You won't lock us in, old man? Oh, that's fine with cops. I used to love you. I used to think you're a musical genius. You know why?
What are the drink spots?
Because you paid my rent, you ancient hack. Come on to the record store. I'll show you what I think you're plinkety plink plink.
Blankety plank plank, baby. I feel like I reordered these and they just suck. You know why? It probably goes by like a quick order or something. I don't know. It's annoying. Oops, I didn't really want to check this. Whatever.
The Wild Bunny.
Even these are still bloody.
Sander Cohen. I want to take the ears off, but I can't. I hop, and when I hop, I never get off the ground. It's my curse, my eternal curse. I want to take the ears off, but I can't. It's my curse. It's my fucking curse. I want to take the ears off. Please, take them off. Please.
Someone get this guy's ears off already.
I'm not a bad person! Come on!
I've worked in meatball beef in Little Italy, and even I'm shocked at the cold blood that oozes out of these
The
artistic
meatball beat.
This broad Culpepper and that job Cohen are in some kind of feud. And Cohen's looking for my security detail to pick sides. The next thing I know, I'm called into Ryan's office to talk about the whole mess. Goddamn nut job artists.
Give me one of these. I have so much stuff. One of these. And then I can get a vertical piece. We're good. Hacker's Delight 2. Ooh, I kind of want to make that. So don't use any of the needle things. Yo, Booze Hound? It's kind of good too. Could make a bit of this without working the bank on anything. I'm not gonna get any. Ooh, tripwire bolts. That's fun. Not gonna get any crossbow stuff right now because, like, just don't need to spend it. I don't have the crossbow yet.
I'm really crawling when you're alone. I just want some company.
Who's that? Die, you ass!
I'll switch back to regular rounds here. I like how they just get stuck in the ceiling. I don't know if that's a bug or intended or both. I don't really want to buy ammo right now. I could believe it was originally a bug, and they're like, well, why shouldn't it get stuck in the ceiling? What's in here? Oh, wait, no.
Attention, any public congregation of more than 4 persons is considered an actionable offense.
Is that a director's commentary thing? There's stuff in here. Games. Oh yeah. Ugh. Bad? No, not bad. Can't even carry any more liquid nitrogen. What the heck? What did I even come in here for? Oh yeah. I'm gonna hack this while I have a little bit of health missing. Seems like the appropriate time. Oh well, that's interesting. Perfect. Can I not hack this? Looks like I would be able to, but I guess I need to know the code or something. I don't know. Anyway.
Stood up again. Second time this week. Ever since my face was... Well, Steinman worked on me, but it was never the same since the blast. Being alone so much gives a girl time to think. Who could hate me so much they'd ruin me like this? What did I do to them? You know, I keep thinking of all them bandits and terrorists Ryan's got locked up in Palo Square, and I get so mad. Sometimes I can hardly breathe. If I could only confront them, tell them what they did to me, how they're ruining everything for me, for Rapture, maybe I'd feel better.
Should I just max out my slot? I wish I could see my inventory of tonics from here, so that I could decide if I want to like even get the extra slots. I don't have like a ton. I almost just want more health right now. Gonna do it. Cyclone trap. Sander Cohen's bedtime surprise. That doesn't. Jasmine Jolene. Andrew Ryan's favorite gal. That's a ringing endorsement. Hoppy choppy. There were enough Russians to use Cyrillic in Bioshock Land. Rapture. Whoop. Wait. I'm gonna stand back here until I can see the scan. No, I never did play through all of Yoshi's Island. I should probably fix that someday. If only I could break glass in some way. What do I have for physical tonics? You know, I do have enough physical tonics that I could do with having another one. I don't know why I have both Eve links in there. I guess it might stack, so it's not like it has no benefit probably, but I don't need that. Yo, I can play the guitar.
Stood up again.
Regarding your review of Anna Culpepper's latest
maybe I can.
musical insult, of all the worthy artists in Rapture, why you continue to devote column inches to this musical gremlin is beyond
Subtitles
my
are
imagination.
not very functional in
Where
this
she
game
is not
sometimes.
primitive, she's boring. Where she's not boring, she's obvious. Where she's not obvious, she's dangerous.
Nice. Alright. I've had my fun. If I can't make these things, I need more of that stuff. Need more of those needles.
Could you possibly think I would meet with my public now, when I'm preparing? Unbelievable.
Thought maybe that would be the way up. My goal is up there. Admission, please. I would like one ticket to this thing. Oh. There's an elevator, but...
Get away from my...
Going up.
No.
Oh, there's someone else normal with him. Maybe. Well, no one's normal here. Everyone's crazy. But I can't jump right now. My jump has been disabled.
Presto! No, no! I'm trying. Please.
Once again, young Fitzpatrick.
Oh boy, this is gonna be fun.
Da, 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 da. No! Oh God, you sick fuck, let me out of there!
Calm down now, little more.
Life, death. The burden of the artist is to capture.
See young Fitzpatrick here on the stage. Use your camera. Take him as he is now, so I may remember him.
Wait, I'm getting places I maybe shouldn't be. Oh, I don't know. Oh, I am expert. Diffuse circuitries. That sounds good. Oh. What? I don't care.
What an outstanding display of athleticism.
What?
What are you waiting for? Fitzpatrick can't hold that pose forever.
Ah!
Now you've got Fitzpatrick caught in
Rude.
his moment of glory.
Keep forgetting sometimes I press control, which you should never press ever.
Shutterbug, little moth. Now,
And I'm just
into
in
the
walk
atrium
mode.
and place his photograph in my masterpiece.
Can I unbind
And
control?
so our collaboration commences.
Or unbind a walk, or just bind it to something I'll never press. Might do that. No one ever wants to go slow in a video game.
You want more?
Oops. Nice. Alright.
You're only making this hard for us both.
Oh my god. What a bounce. That was weird. Okay.
I found her that way.
I know why you've come, little moth. You've your own canvas, one you paint with the blood of a man I once loved. Yes, I'll send you to Ryan. But first, you must be part of my masterpiece. Go to the atrium. Hurry now. My muse is a fickle bitch with a very short attention span. Do you see it? When I am dust, this is what they'll point to. My quad tick. My masterpiece. Go ahead. Don't be afraid. Touch it.
That's a quick save prompt if I ever heard one.
Yes, and there's Fitzpatrick, freed of his own kinks and
Crossbow.
defects. And here's the glorious news. This is just the moment of conception. Out in this place, there are 3 men, all former disciples of mine, all connected by a common thread, betrayal. Find them, little moth, and immortalize their mortality in my quad tick. Go. Once
I don't know what the
they've
hell a
accepted
quad
their
tick
rule,
is.
You shall go to yours, and to Ryan.
Kill various people. Rapture records. Hello? Menu? God, this menu doesn't even work. After I do this, if I don't hit escape, I can't, like, click on the next one. Eve's Garden.
The door to Poseidon Plaza is now open to you, my Maw.
Rapture is going to hell. And why? Because of them. Always behind the scenes, at the Lyceum, at the galleries in Soho, even down here in this so-called utopia. The doubters. But Ryan understands. We're simpatico. Yes, there's blood in the streets. Yes, people sometimes disappear. And those awful little girls. Well, I suppose the doubters think you can paint a picture without soiling your smock.
Unknown item. Stop it. Nope. Nope. Just do this. And this. And this. Ah. Shoot, 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 shoot. Man. Rude. I'm getting some rough. Oh, there's 3 safes here? Holy shit. Okay, well. Suddenly, hacking minigames become annoying. Guess I should have saved my auto hacks, I don't know. Well, I did use them on like the things that would normally be hard. I'll have the crossbow, right? No. I didn't even save after I did that.
Yes, and there's
That's a good name. Surprise.
freed of his own kinks and effects. And here's the glorious
That.
news. This is just the moment of conception. Out in this place, there are 3 men, all former disciples of mine, all connected by a common thread.
Betray them. Find them, little moth, and immortalize their mortality in my quad tick. Go. Once they've been sent to their reward, you shall go to yours and to Ryan.
I'm really just hacking these again, because you know me. I love that minigame. Surprises. Oh yeah. GDQ's own very own surprises. Funny prize man. Alright. Triumph of game design, right? Look, I would have absolutely no problem with this if it wasn't plastered on like every interactable object in the game, dude. We're saving after this. I don't care. Hacking turrets is even worth it most of the time. It's probably not, but I'm too lazy to shoot them. I don't know. Sometimes you just get some really, really bad. Layouts, and then you just fucked. Wait, so this dude was just mooning everyone who passed by with his painting of an ass through the window. Also, everyone who's over there. This guy loved butts. There's butts everywhere. Who doesn't love butts? Man, there's just like random garbage in there, honestly. Oh, I didn't want to do that. Not the theater. Gotta go around to the places and kill the men.
Allow me to draw back the curtain.
You know, alarms are annoying, but maybe it is worth just getting rid of overload tiles or something. safes and combo locks. Oh. Is the difficulty of reducing safes better? I don't know. There is a combo lock or two I've hacked, but there's one in the current area that I don't seem to be able to. I don't know. I don't know, I'm just gonna cook this one out because now they're starting to get annoying and it's like unhackable like NFTs. Yep, definitely didn't hear about anything getting hacked today.
I can see your breath.
Yeah, it's cold, dude. Not that special.
You think you gotta finish me in here, you old fruit? Yeah, the saps you tossed in this meat locker, all panicked like rabbits. I just watched and waited. And when they started to kick, I started to scavenge. Made myself a little splicer cocktail I did. You can't come in from the cold. Then you gotta grow ice over your heart. And the Iceman cometh, Sander baby. The Iceman fucking cometh.
You know who else cometh? The fireman. That's me. I'm the fireman. I got fire on my hand. My hands.
Guess the old grape finally sent someone. Son of a bitch. Left me to freeze.
Does this guy have like extra eyeballs? What's going on?
I've got a pose all picked out for you.
Maybe it's just ice weirdness. Right. Okay. You're alive again. I give you the gift of life. What have I done? Allow me to hack this. One moment, please.
That was bracing. Take a photo of him and place it in the quad tick. I'm feeling full.
You can freeze enemies when you hit them with the wrench. That's interesting.
Mama. Yes! Now put the picture in the frame. Let's see what we've got here.
Kind of cool that you can like defrost his friends to, well, not friends, the other people to like help kill him. That's cool. I'm gonna use my crossbow since I got it. Probably do that. Try it out. Give it a whirl. Pick up this extra wrench. I like burn this to get whatever's inside? No. The tooltip lied to me, alright? Now this is just some hot garbage. Yep.
She was a good part.
Why did you block
Show
on
us
the
the
last
back.
time? You're only making
Right
I'm not a bad person.
I missed.
Where you going, honey?
I don't know who I'm taking a picture of here. That guy. Oh, baby, that's a good bonus. Oops, what did I just... I swear, these like, this mouse does accidental clicks sometimes, and I'm not sure how it's happening. Extra nutrition. Oh, let's let that guy take care of things for a sec. I'm just like quick save now. Might not be a good idea, but I'm doing it. Probably okay. That's not what I wanted to take a picture of. Sport Boost 2. You know, moving and spinning much faster. You know. I wanted to take pictures of the little sister. There we go. Alright, time to kill ourselves a Big Daddy. You know what I should do? Hold, please. Ourselves. This is on me, it's true. I'm going to kill this Big Daddy. Let's load up our ammo here. I don't know if any of these things would be... Probably not. Oh, he's got a charge attack. Wow, fall damage? What kind of video game has fall damage? Other than, you know, lots. Whoop. I'm stuck. that one was a lot easier. Press L to save child.
The little ones have never had anyone to look to, except to me, and I am not much to speak of. You give them hope. And for this, I am grateful. I'll send something to demonstrate that gratitude.
I'm glad the Nazi is grateful to me. Makes me feel a lot better about myself.
Mr. B.
Oh yeah, because I have to do this.
It's coming together. Yes. But there will always be doubters. You don't doubt. I could never stomach.
I have too much health.
doubters.
Alright. Where to next? Where's the Titan Plaza? No, it's up.
Come on. Please, just give me a break. A break.
I have so much money.
Hey,
Oh wait,
fella,
that's
don't you want to take a walk with me?
no. Not really. Guess I could just look at the thing. Where does that want me to go? Or where are the other people? I got Silas, Cobb, Rapture Records, and Poseidon Plaza. Not just actually through here. Oh, maybe this. There we go. Still keep forgetting I have crossbow bolts. Ooh. I guess I could buy some incendiary ammo for the bolts. Nice. Ow. Wait. Spider slicer organs count as a first aid kit? Ah. I'm busy.
I just watched and waited. And when they started to kick, I started to scavenge.
That's nice.
Made myself a little splicer cocktail I did.
I don't even actually want to play this tape. I just did it because I'm trying to heal.
And the Iceman cometh.
But now the Iceman is coming.
The Iceman fucking cometh.
Oh shit. Okay. What? That's bullshit. Sometimes you just get screwed. Like right now? Hello? It's literally impossible! This shit sucks. Why am I even trying to do this? I don't need any of these things. I guess I have a lot of these. I could make some. But the thing is, I don't have... Oh, I can make trap bolts. You know what? Do this. I guess I have money that I could use. Make 2 of these. Make some trap bolts, because those sound fun. And then we'll just leave it at that, because I want to see... I feel like I have plenty to use some things on. Like, I have a lot to make trap bolts, but I might find some, so I don't know. So you won't be hired, at least. Jeez. Sheesh. Sheesh, as the kids say, apparently. I don't know why. But everyone says sheesh now, I guess. I don't even know what a Big Daddy went.
That's your reminder. We all have bills to pay, and the temptation to break curfew to make a little extra out of it is break curfew is not. Stay on the level. Out.
Peter, why? Because there's a war on. Bastards!
Dang. Why do I feel so short? These slot machines are huge. I guess I'm supposed to have a chair, but I mean, come on. Oh, I just got more trap bolts, huh?
Fontaine knew our blokes were coming. We were done over. Then splicers come screaming out the woodwork. Burping fire, spitting ice. Demons out of the Bible they were. I've never seen nothing like it. It wasn't a business he was building. It was an army.
What's with these springs? Why can't I hack the one thing you can't hack in this game? The slot machines. What makes you think? Where am I headed? Eve's Guidance. Rapture Records.
Come where I can see you. I'm sorry. Let me try.
Who's there? I just like the company. Come back, please. I was just giving you a go.
Ah, what? Alright, let's go in and guess we could, I don't know. Yeah, no, we could do this. These will be maybe handy for the Big Daddy, so that's the only reason I'm really hacking them. They might be handy. We'll see. Okay, that's good. I still need more of these. What if this picture is also blurry? It is! Oh, I thought I killed myself. Oops. Actually, that did help, I guess. Look, it seems like it helped. I'm not dead.
No! 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 Thank you, mister. Thank you.
There's another one downstairs. I don't think he has one though.
Please.
I will buy 2 of these because I have a lot. A lot of money. Oh, those are my armor piercing rounds. Okay, wait. Still need to go in, you know, some direction to Pharaoh's Fortune. Was I in this one?
I'm good looking.
Ugh. Show me to one of those. I don't. I didn't really feel like burning a lot of health for that. Oh, this is pretty far back.
I'll go there soon with Mr. Bo.
Time is it? 10:20. Was this it? Guess so. It's the only save I have.
Perhaps we'll go.
I'm stuck. I'm stuck. Okay. Good shot.
Fontaine knew our blokes were coming. Splicers come screaming out of the woodwork. Burping fire, spitting ice. Demons out of the Bible they were. Never seen nothing like it. The business he was building was an army.
Well, that was fine. Guess it wasn't actually that far back, but still. Better get in there. Oh, probably do this. No. Oh. Right. Do that. Okay.
Came here to be a star. Not too late. Not too late.
Gotta be rich down here to meet a lady.
Crusty, fire!
Probably save.
Die, you! I can see you! Oh! You let me now!
Lady, run off! This thing is bleeding!
Nice. Just come over here so I can wrench you in the face. Or in the ass. As it were. Hey, you have one too. Well.
Chocolate is better than grapes. Chocolate is better than grapes. Chocolate is better.
Wrench Jockey 2.
This one is.
Ow. Oh, shit. Man, that was kind of bad. Whatever.
No! 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 Thank you for helping us.
Okay, so we've cleared all the big gaddies around here. Sinclair Spirits. I wouldn't mind having a... Oh. Wouldn't mind having a healing thingy somewhere. Well. Get drunk.
You come to laugh at me too? I found her that way!
Oh. Oh, God. You know what? Just go. I saved. I don't care. Oh. What? Cool. Just keep giving me impossible ones so I don't use. There's really nothing in there except booze, as far as I can tell. Oh, some materials though. Eve's Garden. That seems like a place to go. Oh, here's a keypad I can hack. I'm gonna use my auto hack, why not? What did I do this for? $. This guy tried to steal a bunch of my wallet is full. I've collected too much money. Didn't think that was gonna happen.
The good people of Ratchet didn't sign up to see us government types shutting down shops, killing their owners, even with a ponce like Fontaine. But he brought it upon himself. Instead of copping it on the chin, bugger gets it into his head that he's gonna go down guns blazing. Who does he think he is? John bloody Wayne? We can get on top of this. We can. Here's what we do. We find Fontaine's will and make what was his go to where it was intended. And not into the pockets of us that put him into the ground.
Film grain. Look at all the dollars on the ground. Okay, I gotta spend some money. Come on. Except I can't. I'm literally gonna do this because, like, whatever. Should use more electric gel. It's singles, of course. Makes sense. It's really nice when it all just lines up, mostly.
Welcome to the Circus of Value.
I learned I have too much money, so I just spent a bunch. I go back to that spot. Oh, he got a hack tool though. That's not bad. The secret to capitalist utopia. Making it so no one can have more than $500. Genius. Also, yeah, like I guess there's just standard 4 digits on every counter, but I mean, you'd think I should be able to go up to at least 1,000 or something before it says you have too much money. And yet, here we are. I have like no pistol rounds, and they're just not even available anymore.
Sweetheart, maybe you should ask somebody else for advice.
Damn. Guess I will ask someone else for advice then.
I thought you had forgotten about poor Jasmine, but I am so glad you didn't.
I'm sorry, Mr. Ryan. I didn't know. I didn't know Fontaine had something to do with it. What are you doing? No, please. I loved you. Don't, please, no.
Whoa!
That creepy Dr. Tenenbaum promised me it wasn't going to be a real pregnancy. They just take the egg out once Mr. Ryan and I had... Oh, I needed the money so bad. But I know Mr. Ryan's gonna suss it out. Gonna know I wasn't being careful. Gonna know I sold the... Mr. Ryan's gonna be so mad at me.
Well. Nice, good stuff.
That creepy Dr. Tenenbaum promised me it wasn't going to be a real pregnancy. They just take the egg out once Mr. Ryan and I had... Oh, I needed the money so bad. But I know Mr. Ryan's gonna suss it out. Gonna know I wasn't being careful. Gonna know I sold the... Mr. Ryan's gonna be so mad at me.
So she was paid to get Andrew Ryan's DNA, or, well, you know, fluids / baby. I don't know what it sounds like. Oh. Die. I don't know. Hello. Okay. Well. Guess you're one of the guys I need to kill, huh? I do have these, and I keep forgetting about them. A turret. Oh.
Vigorous.
Oh, you can get your bolts back.
Before it completely dries out. You flutter all around the fort, taking life as you go. You're not a monk. You're an angel. I've never painted an angel. Maybe I should.
Got all the little sisters, right? Yeah. Okay, where's the last guy? There's only one more, right? Oh wait, I need the picture. Go back in the thing.
Come on.
I'll take those now.
Who's that? Stop ogling me! Don't run!
What?
That's 3 of 4. What's that look? You don't like it, do you? I don't need to be judged by you, by anyone. Screw you! Screw all you fucking doubters! Here's what I say to all of you! Fly away, little moth! Fly!
Out. That's not what I wanted.
Sorry for that outburst. You'll have to forgive an old fool his artistic temperament. The birth is so close now. The labor pains
Did I get my present?
blur the judgment and drive the passions of even the finest spirits.
I'll just spend my money on this health station while I'm down here anyway, huh? Got like hundreds of dollars. Only 150 from having infinite money. Not really, but the max amount of money allowed by Rapture. Alright. Rapture Records. Oh, here's my other gift here. There are 4 first aid kits here. Man. Okay, we're gonna get a plasmid slot.
Enrage your enemies. Laugh as your enemies fight each other.
I'm gonna get... Ooh, insect swarm too. Yeah, why not? Physical tonic slot. Incinerate too. Combat. It doesn't even let you pick. I just click and then it just throws something in there. And then, I don't know. Just leave it at that. My free things are gone. Oh, man. Alright, time to switch and rage for something else, probably. Security bullseye. Actually, I don't even have that many other options. Sonic Boom maybe will be fun. Sport boosters maybe, yeah, maybe. Standing still, you become invisible. Oh, you know what? That one did sound pretty cool. But Sport Boost is move speed, so like... Like, I assume it's not just... Wow, that move speed is nice. I can't give up free move speed, I don't think. Even if the other benefit is Revenge Sting, which I don't care about that much. Static discharge. Might be worth it to buy something that would help, that would go in that slot. Such as Human Inferno. Might be fun. Who doesn't like fire?
Going, honey. Make it stop!
Yo, I got the thing I need for the inventing machine. Know what the newest one is. That would be nice. I can make something. I forget.
Is
Come
that
here.
someone naughty?
I can make Hawker's Delight 2. Or Booze Hound. Considering all the stuff you hack.
Something's in the shadow. Ah! Oh my God! They're
Optra Records, here we are.
just getting to the best bit. The fire!
Right, this is where the last guy we need to kill is for this thing.
Cohen's not a musician. He's Ryan's stable boy. Ryan's corrupt policies crap all over the place, and Cohen flutters around clearing it up. But instead of using a shovel, like you would with a proper mule, Cohen tidies with a catchy melody and a clever turn of phrase. But no matter how nicely it sounds, he can't really do anything about the smell.
Get away, I guess.
You Cohen's messenger boy. I got something for that crow. A little time with my kids, sugar.
Yo, cats. Can I freeze this fire thing here? What?
Two old birds pulling on each other's milk stick.
Okay, the fire's out now. I didn't even know I could. I kind of assumed it was like you load it every time. You know how like most crossbows usually work, but you have like a whole magazine.
My kitten! You murdered my
He was a nasty one. And my favorite. But I think I like him better this way. Take his damn photo. Chop, chop.
Have you heard what's
Beautiful.
going on down in Apollo Square? I hear
I go grab some of that health. Might as well just use it up. Pistol rounds aren't real, they don't exist anymore. Alright, before we return and put the picture in, no. I can like buy something from here actually. Nope. Good. Impossible. Went the wrong way. You know how it goes. This is the real strat. Let's do this like right away. Realize how fucked you are. Like right now, when I'm fucked. Fuck this. Oh, shit. Oops, I walked backwards into a thing. Well, whatever. Anyway, I'm gonna take that break that I was about to talk about before we do whatever comes next. So, I'll be right back. I'll go stretch and get a drink and do all that stuff, and I'll see you in a minute. Alright, I'm back. Hello, Sanovan. To be honest, what you've missed has largely been running around and killing a bunch of dudes for this artist guy. And some big daddies. We got all 3 little sisters in this area. My hair is like so long right now. I noticed today after I got out of the shower, it was all like wet and like straight. And I really don't know what I want to do about it. Like, do I just keep going it? That's like 90% of the content. That's true. Do I really need to get it cut? Not really. The ends are... I don't know. Shave it? Get out of here. You're banned. Hey, where did my admin controls go on this dock? Yeah, it's weird. No questions on the hair. Sub goal? Dude, do you know how much money I would need to make cutting this off a consideration? I don't even want to put a number on it because it would be a lot. How long have I been growing it for? I mean, it's been long for like a long time. I don't think I could really quantify how long it's been growing because I've cut it and kept it around the same length for a while, and you know, then 2020 happened and it got longer, and then I kind of just like didn't cut it back to where it was before that. So it's just been long for like 10 years. 10 years since I like went beyond, I don't know, like chin length or something. So it was like what, medium, I don't know, what would you call that, medium length for a while in like university after like high school. It was like beginning of university, high school, and then like I just grew it out during university at some point. And then it's just been long ever since. And it has it's probably the longest it's ever been right now. Don't know how you do it. I just like it this way. It doesn't bother me. I mean, the other thing is once it gets past a certain length, it's all the same anyway, almost. Well, I sit on it. Or I sit like on a couch sometimes and I realize I'm sitting on my hair. But like, I don't know. It doesn't change much anymore. When it gets longer, it's just like, yep, it's past a certain length, so it's just you handle it all the same way. Like when you can tie it back, then it's kind of just like doesn't matter as much anymore. Yeah, it's got wave, but it's not like it doesn't curl up all over the place. Kind of just goes down mostly. Definitely if it was curly, like that's another thing to deal with, I guess. Was that an enemy that did that? Or was that my robots? I don't even know. Oh yeah, I should probably save because because I'm about to do this.
It is accomplished.
Excellent work, Mr. Cohen. And me. Mostly me.
Let me see it.
The camera loves you, Mr. Cohen. Give him a minute, Sanovan. He's already tried to kill me like twice. So.
You'll find your path to Ryan is now clear. Reverend Sanders said hello. Oh, yes. You may avail yourself upon one of my lesser works as a token of our time together. If you had become my one and true disciple, you might have been worthy of seeing inside the box.
Remember, vandals are characters.
But who knows if that man
Vandalism is a serious crime. Remember, vandals are characters.
I think my robot broke. Something that set off the security alarms or whatever, I don't know. That's annoying. Not even my fault. I think I made him angry now. To be honest, I was gonna try and do this to get this thing anyway. If it's optional or not. Oh, there's a dad. This guy's like in the way. Kind of inconvenient. He just suddenly died. Oh my god. Finally give me some pistol rounds, dude. Maybe some of these. Just load me up. I have like so much money. Easy money.
The smuggler is the friend of the parasite. It is your duty to report the smuggler.
Easy $25 to $15, I guess. Well, that section was alright. I mean, you just got to shoot people. Missed the random shots in the background. Yeah. Me too.
Watch yourself. Ryan's stirring. We best keep to our knitting. It's time to either run the table or go home empty. Ryan's got the genetic key to Rapture. We get that from him and we get out of this hellhole. We don't, then you and I are ghosts. Now would you kindly head to Ryan's office and kill the son of a bitch? It's time to finish this.
Things are sounding awfully final, but they've sounded like that before. So, don't know what to make of it. I don't even know why. I could buy. I need crossbow bolts though. Really.
I say Cohen's lost his touch, if you knew him when he used to believe in the work, in the struggle. And now, he
Wait,
rots
will
in that
not be constrained by the
Neverland, waiting
small.
for someone to come and tell him he still got it. I suppose that's why he let you live.
Why is the music getting dramatic? Yeah, I'd killed him, so I don't know what he's on about.
Wait. I'm on to you.
You think you can trick me? You behave!
Easier to project the teleport. What does that even mean? I was wondering what I could have been doing the whole time. I guess maybe it's just like you see the red stuff going there earlier or whatever. But I want to jump down there, but I can't.
You can taste it, can't you? Andrew Ryan.
What?
I traded you, oh Lord, for Mammon. And what did it get me? Oh, hush me!
Fine. Blew myself up a little bit, but it's okay. Oops. No. No. Shit. Shit. What did I do? Fuck. I didn't even mean to do that. Sometimes you mess up. Drag the thing to the wrong spot. Oh, this is a problem. Where's food? Yes. That just hurt me. Anyway. Really shouldn't walk under that, but I did. And it didn't hurt me, so.
I spent the afternoon trying to get as close to Ryan's gate as possible without making a spectacle of myself. He's got it shielded 6 ways to Leicester. There's no way into that base. All I got for my trouble was the hairy eyeball from Ryan's splicer mates. That's the reward you get for trying to outsmart the best electrical engineer of our generation.
Best electrical engineer of our generation, huh? Yeah, I don't know if we're like near the end here or not, but there was like more spots on the elevator, and you know, if that's a measure of progress, maybe we aren't. Then again, I guess those could just be short sections or something. There's a security camera. Yep. Yep. Invent some stuff. Ah, shit. Oh no, that was bad. That was a bad thing to do. I want to shut down the robots. Hacking is good. I mean, I kind of screwed it up, but then again, it has just become impossible before. Really gotta like reveal the route before you do anything sometimes now. I almost spilled my drink. Impossible puzzles I never... I guess it's to provide value to, like, the stuff that makes hacking easier, but it's also like, okay. I don't know. Just rude. Just feels rude. Let's see. Wouldn't mind not using those. I don't know what if there's any like resources I actually want to conserve here. I'll probably take some of those. Oh shoot! It doesn't tell you until after you. That sucks. It's like, by the way, you crafted too many, you fool. I'm gonna drop these on the floor now. Here they go.
A worm looks up and sees the face of God. But look around. It's a regular convention of worms in here. They all had mothers, fathers, people who loved them. They got married, got their wives. What makes you think you're any different? I haven't chosen the spot for you on the wall yet.
There's only two options,
Let me
man.
know if you have a preference.
Think I'd rather be over here. This is a good one.
Yeah, Lord. We have turned away from your light.
You can't take it from me, Ryan! I earned it! I earned it!
I'm sorry, Father. I'll do what you say. I'll do what you say.
Done talking? I think so.
Jesus loves me, this I know. For the Bible tells me so.
Ooh, I can make that thing. Oh, I just realized I skipped a note. That's what I was trying to remember.
Finally spill the beans on how to get to Andrew Ryan. Generate a sympathetic overload in harmonic chord number 3. That's simple. Now all I gotta do is figure out what the hell a sympathetic overload is, and for that matter, a harmonic chord number 3. Piece of cake for an electrical engineer. Too bad I designed ladies' shoes. Gonna go see the grease monkeys left alive in heat loss monitoring. See what I can shake out of their trees.
Overload the core.
Like all parasites who ever tried to walk in stolen shoes. I'd explain the science that renders what you're trying to do impossible, but that would be like playing Mozart for a tree frog.
What's wrong with tree frogs, man? Okay, what was that note that I... Wait, no. Yeah. This one?
I never killed a man, let alone a mate. But this is what things come to. I don't know if killing Mr. Ryan will stop the war, but I know it won't stop while that man breathes. I love Mr. Ryan, but I love Ratchet. If I have to kill one to save the other, so be it.
I spent the afternoon trying to get as close to Ryan's gate as possible without
Listen to
making a
this one.
spectacle of myself. He's got it shielded 6 ways till Easter.
Booze hound.
That place. All I got for my trouble was the hairy eyeball from Ryan's splicer mates. That's the reward you get for trying to outsmart
I don't think
the
I
best
really need it right
electrical
now, but
engineer
it's like one of the things that I wanted to invent at least.
Fight me properly.
You can run, but we'll find you! Keep running, man!
Rapture is coming back to life. Even now, can't you hear the breath returning to her lungs? The shops reopening, the schools.
Kill Rapture to save Ryan. I mean,
my city will live. My city will thrive. And when that day comes, you'll use your tombstone for payment tiles.
Ooh, geothermal vents. I guess that makes sense, huh? Or whatever, that's what it looks like anyway.
Lies of Atlas and his parasites. Rapture is on the rise.
That looks cool. Good time to hack this, I think. Not the sound of delicious Adam? Could it be? There are 3 little sisters.
Where are you? Come on, please.
I'm stuck. What made that noise? Also, how do I get back up? Oh, there we are. The 2-hit combo! I just immediately got destroyed because he punched me into a wall and then the stun stopped me from getting out.
Time to go. Baby, is that you?
You shit.
This area is really bad for fighting these guys. You get hit by the shockwave and then you're just like toast.
Don't be a slowpoke. Is that
I can't. Yeah. Oops. Okay.
Come back! Come back! Come back here!
Whoops. Got him.
I've seen such terrible things, and done worse myself. Thank you for reminding me that the light of the world has not yet been snuffed out. I am sending a little one to help you on your way.
Need to do that 2 more times. Ah! Isn't there a thing here? Nope, not there. Fuck you.
Do you guys have any idea there's a war on? If you don't follow proper maintenance on those big daddies, they burn through those R-34s like them Eve Zappleberries go through penicillin. I've got Atlas's goons hitting us non-stop and 2 dead mechanics just this week. We need to control costs. If I wanted to deal with amateurs, I would have stayed on dry land.
I never killed a man.
Up.
Let
How
alone
did I just end up playing the one before that?
But this is what things come to. I don't know if killing Mr. Ryan will stop the war, but I know it won't stop while that man breathes. I love Mr. Ryan, but I love Ratchet. If I have to kill one
True.
to save the other, so be it.
Lots of crossbow ammo. Love to have it. It's always good. He really loves them. Yeah. I'm really informed about it now. I probably just pressed T and then I shouldn't, but I don't know.
To build a city at the bottom of the sea, insanity. But where else could we be free from the clutching hand of the parasites? Where else could we build an economy that they would not try to control, a society that they would not try to destroy? It was not impossible to build Rapture at the bottom of the sea. It was impossible to build it anywhere else.
What is this garbage? All right.
Welcome to the circus of... Welcome to the circus of value. Welcome to the... Welcome to the circus of value.
This game. That was weird. Wait.
We tricked you, monster.
Whoa, okay.
You think you could get away with
Imagine the will it took to create a place like this.
That would be scary.
Nothing. You can only loot and break. You're not a man. You're just a termite at Versailles.
You have a girl? Yeah, you do. Yeah, you do.
Tail to top. And if we find no tail,
I don't know how it works. No pick? I forgot. Well, I remembered after I killed him. I can take a picture of the dead one. I think I can take a picture of her before he walks away too. Up, right. We're running out of these guys to even deal with, I think. But
thank you.
Elite. Oh, so. Up a lot of my Eve. Oh, did it zap the little sister? Whoops.
Oh, I'm ready.
Did I do that? That's a trap hole. Well, kind of worked. What the fuck this? Alright. Or we can actually make this at least.
Take care of this crap himself.
Because Mr. Ryan's got more important things to do than to enforce loyalty in the ranks. Say hello to Fontaine, you backstabbing son of a bitch.
Mandatory hacking minigame. I've been training for this my whole life.
Before the final rat has eaten the last gram of you, Rapture will have returned. I will lead a parade. Who was that, they'll say, as they point to the sad shape hanging on my wall. Who was that?
I begged Mr. Ryan to hand Fontaine's heuristics over to Atlas's boys as a peace offering, but the stupid sod won't listen to reason. Instead, he's just splicing his mob up, giving them more and tougher plasmids. There's an arms race on here in Rapture, but it's not about who can build the best guns and the biggest bombs. It's about who can become less of a man and more of a monster.
Something about keyboards and all them university types. They're so smart, except when they ain't. I put a couple of drinks in him last week, and before I could say boo, he's telling me he's got the code to his office keyed to the date of Australia Day. Now's every weeks I slip in real gentle and nick a buck or two from the till. The Aussie never notices, and I ain't about to tell him. Seems like there's all kind of crazy stuff back there. Maybe one day I'll get more ambitious.
Wait, do I have to know Australia Day? Or can I just hack it? Gotta do everything. Yes. Ooh, stuff.
I didn't recognize the twist that come into the shop today. Stacked like
Was in Australia Day just a few days ago? Wow, I'm so timely.
She's played her cards pretty close to the vest, but you ain't gotta be no college job to see that she's into some bad china. She was asking about magnetic locks and some such. I played it coy, but she took wise. After she showed me round her backyard, I gave her directions to Keyboard's tool shop. Rapture's gone to hell, but sometimes the great chain still cuts you a break.
Jesus loves me, this I know, for the Bible.
Maybe that's they announced the movie on Australia Day. It's all part of the plan. It's related to Bioshock. Oh no, these guys are so strong.
Are you afraid of me, monster? Run! I'm on your trail!
Oops.
You heretic!
I'm sure he will help you.
That's what I wanted. I'll just throw one of your friends at you. That usually seems to do a good amount of damage. Have I really finished these? Sure doesn't feel like it by how much damage they take. Anyone knowledgeable in the game have like an idea of like is this like a sub 2 hour finish from now, you know? Or is it more? No. Alright. I might, in that case, I might just go for like another hour or something. I want to leave like, well, I don't know. I want to leave like a nice amount of time for probably one more stream, I assume, after this.
Another man happens to be on a plane.
Just wanted to make sure.
Crash lands on the same city in the middle of the ocean. Why, that sounds more like a miracle.
Yes. It does. Do you have a girl? You don't.
Spliced up. Forgot. I believed in this place. I believed in Ryan. But when it got hard, Ryan didn't believe in Rapture. Didn't believe in the Great Chain. He believed in power. And now this place is Busto. And my girl is gone. Worse than gone. One of those things. So am I an assassin? Well, only one way to find out.
Ooh, we have a lot of slots now. For a lot of money. Electro Bolt 3. You know, that just seems like a very strong thing, so I'm gonna keep it. Ooh, Electric Flush, huh?
shelf. Once it started to move me. I'm just crazy about myself.
I have like I wish I had just put these machines next to each other. I mean, it's probably close. Just don't check the map, I guess. Oh, hey, weapon upgrade station. Crossbow breakage chance. Man, crossbow is so good. I just want to upgrade my crossbow. Where's the There's a U invent there. There's a gene bank. Okay. What? Yeah. What's on engineering? Nothing. Physical, I could get some good things. Combat. Not much. Oh. You know what? How about we make our decisions after we get rid of these guys? You know what? I should go back to the U invent and then see if I can... I'm just gonna buy this. Am I gonna use it right now? I don't know. But... I'll just store it for now. What do Joe? Armor piercing auto rounds. And another one. An exploding buck. Hey buddy, I'll take some pictures of you. Increase damage plus, that's good. Ow. Wow. Okay. Guy keeps singing about Jesus and it's getting on my nerve.
You saved me.
Welcome to the circus of... Welcome.
It's like worse than just doing that. Anyway. Oh yeah, I'm almost maxed out on money. Just spend a bunch.
We have turned away from your light. What you like?
Where'd that thing go? Maybe I grabbed it. I don't know.
I'm just lonely.
I need a right spacing one. And then fuck. It's over. I'm fucked. I'm fucked. I think. Maybe I can save it. Oh wait. Shoot. Ah. Okay.
I'm lonely.
You love to see it. You hate to see it. Heat-seeking RPG. Probably one of the best things I can make right now. Or not have. Actually, how many things do I even have? Not enough space, actually. Whatever. Where am I headed? I'm searching the workshops. Oh. January 26th. Can't believe you missed Australia Day. What are you gonna do with your life? Not go to Australia, I guess. Told you, that was a month ago, Abscon. You said it was a couple days ago. Can't believe I got lied to about the date of Australia Day. Good old corpse in the locker. Classic. Hey buddy, how you doing? February is short by like 2 days.
Ryan's spies are dragging the young woman off right now. I'm certain she's one of Ryan's spies sent to fill me out. I think she is. If I'm wrong, an innocent girl will end up on Ryan's bloody trophy wall. If I'm right, Will, I best be right. The device is almost finished. I can't get soft now, I can't.
Let's use electric shock, maybe. It was nice to just blow them up every once in a while. I'll get around back there. Ah, there we go.
I tracked the problem that was blocking the tubes here, and you'll never believe where I ended up. The damn farmer's market, clear on the other end of Rapture. I fixed it right up and installed some new gaskets. Oof, what a mess. Anyway, the code is 0512 if you ever need to get back in there to do maintenance.
Thought this was the Australia Day one. Oh, maybe it is. Do you want to walk in there for me? Wonder if he'll do it. Nope.
Expressions that really fit you, and so I rack my brain hoping to explain all the things that you do to me. For me, it's just a shame. Let me explain. For me, it's just a shame.
I broke the record player. I need to use more liquid nitrogen, apparently. Ouch. Nitroglycerin.
Is there blood in the streets? Of course. Have some chosen to destroy themselves with careless splicing? Undeniable. But I will make no proclamations. I will dictate no laws. The great chain moves slowly, but with wisdom. It is our impatience that invites in the parasite of big government. And once
big government.
you've invited it in, it will never stop feeding on the body of the city.
He said it. Might get shotgun rate of fire or something. Yeah, why not? Just I don't need to go back in there. I'm getting shot at. You've got to be shitting. Oh, I pressed F to just use a thing instead of actually healing like I wanted to do. Whoops. Oh, whatever. Muscle memory. Brain says heal. For that syringe. Carry your analysis photo. Alright, take that over Human Inferno at least.
The basic casing is ready. I've got 1 charge of nitroglycerin in my office. That will serve as the catalyst. Now, I need 4 R34 lead shield wire stubs to pass the circuit. Then a half can of ionic
That's
gel
why they were
less
short on
ready in the
R34.
mix.
Huh?
Should send the core into compensation mode, push power down the line and trigger the circuit breaker on Ryan's gate. Well, that's the theory. It'll either work like a charm, or blow up half of Rapture. Nothing ventured.
Wait, what? Oh. Yo, what's up, Eiko? Am I missing something? Yes. Wait, I saw those ionic. Oh, motherfucker. Just couldn't pick them up yet, I don't think. Son of a bitch. That's annoying. Okay, well. I'm hacking you this time. No way out of this one. Ooh, look at that. Look at how nicely it lined up this time, mostly. Just need one more. And of course we don't have it. Let's do this. Oh. Oh, shit. Right. Didn't line up so nicely after all. Oops. Ran out of stuff. Wasn't one of the things in here? No. Ooh, I'm feeling a little bit tired. Yeah, but keep going for a while. Oh, that's not what I want to do. Time to run around and find all the stuff that some of which I already saw, the other stuff I just wasn't allowed to pick up. You know how it is. But wonder if I could get one from you. If I... Here's one of them. This is the one I remember seeing. Didn't know you needed it. I mean, yes. But also...
Woe be unto you!
Well, we've got the ionic gel.
Welcome to the Circus of Value.
What the Circus of Value. I'm just wandering around in random directions looking for Big Daddy corpses. I could make some, maybe.
Heard that.
Not sure if it would work, but it seems like it should.
Upon thee!
Huh, so there's extra. At least. Maybe I do need to make some extra corpses. Well, I've got ammo. I do have the bees, which haven't been using so much lately. What? Did you see that angle? This guy's insane. Oh, I bought that at full price. Well, but I wasn't getting my full value circus. I wonder if there's just another Big Daddy corpse I could find before I have to like kill another one. Oh, I have like more for these. Let's get a health upgrade. And then let's double check our situation here.
I send you flames!
I don't really want to use that, but Bloodlust. Could finally do natural camouflage, maybe. Ah, who cares about being invisible? Drench people. I haven't been using Sonic Boom, but I kind of want to get it and then just use it more. Go up and see if I can find one without having to kill another one. Oh.
Strikes me that Fontaine wasn't overly inconvenienced by his own demise. On New Year's Eve, these wretched splicers come streaming out of the poorhouses and stormed the proverbial barricades. They're dead rot in the streets, and Johnny and Janie Citizen are lined up round the block for plasmids. Anything to help fend off the rabble.
Whoosh.
That's right!
I'm gonna check back here. If I don't find one here, then I feel like there might have been more than just two lying around. Here we go. I did remember that guy, I just couldn't remember how far back he was. The answer is close enough.
Even miles underwater, he still sees everything. I send you
Oh, Shoe Horse, thanks for the raid.
I'm sorry, Father. I'll do what you say. I'll do what you say. I send you, Boyle! Come back! Get over here! Come on, get over here!
I'm not gonna listen to that guy. Step on the gas. Got the EMP bomb.
Does it look like it's a real bomb?
Step on the gas!
Step on the gas.
You got to put it on the core past geothermal control. And we'll see if these needle noses knew what the hell they were talking about.
He died for your sins, for your Christ, and you play! We'll...
I heard that.
Say it to the Lord! Step on the gas!
Give me my money and stuff. Hey, buddy. Oh, I have no quarrel with you. Wow, you're missing a lot of health. Could almost just kill him for the resources, but I don't know.
I'll kill your first! I'll kill your first!
Oh, a med station right up here. And I'm not gonna go far back for it, but it was like... That's weird. Get some extra 34 wire, yeah, you never know.
This happened right after the start of the war. Read about it in the papers. Head on in. I'll see what I can dig up to help. I'm no engineer, but if I read these plans right, you can channel that magma flow using the redirect valve. It'll boil off that water right quick, and you'll be able to reach the core. But Ryan's sure to take notice. Might want to set up a perimeter just to be certain.
Oh, well, good thing I'm hacking this one then, maybe. I can.
Fontaine wasn't overly inconvenienced.
I didn't
by
want to
his
play
own
this again.
demise.
I know he wasn't overly.
On New Year's Eve, these wretched splicers come streaming out of the poorhouses and storm the proverbial barricades. The dead rot in the streets, and Johnny and Jamie Citizen are lined up round the block for plasmids. Anything to help fend off the rabble.
Jacob's Ladder. You can watch that on your own. I've seen that before, and I don't really have a particularly strong desire to watch it again anytime soon. That's a good time to remind everybody that there's a movie night going on tomorrow. If you're not in the sub Discord, well, you could sub. Or if you can connect your Discord account or whatever to Twitch, and you'll get in there. Texas Chainsaw Massacre is the movie. Tomorrow night, 10 p.m. Eastern. Unless a lot of people show interest and they haven't said anything yet, and it makes more sense to move it, but probably tomorrow, 10 o'clock or so. Gonna watch some Texas Chainsaw Massacre. It's gonna be fun. Should watch the Cube movies? Maybe. I haven't seen those. Anyway. Gonna quick save and then start this thing, I guess.
You got boost power!
Will these creatures kill you? Even I don't know. As you drag me closer to the
Oh,
abyss,
that's how
you
that works,
pull
huh?
yourself right along with me. I offer you a quick death, Parasite. It will be preferable to what you will learn if you win.
I'll have to hold it. Oh shoot, that didn't. Thing's not as dramatic as I thought it would be. Maybe there's more steps or something.
Are they all dead? Hope so. Best be heading on to the
Damn.
core.
I feel like I wasted resources a bit. Not really.
So far away from your family, from your friends, from everything you ever loved. But for some reason, you like it here. You feel something you can't quite put your finger on. Think about it for a second, and maybe the word will come to you. Nostalgia.
Nostalgia. I'm doing good, Rio. Bioshock's fun. Probably would have been way cooler if I played it back when it came out. Like many things, I guess. I think I already know the plot twist. People are that's kind of being hinted at me, but whatever.
Mark my words, your only reward will be a knife in the back.
Yeah, the Street Fighter 6 logo is not good. Logo design has become real bad, just in general. Very loud.
What is the difference between a man and a parasite? A man builds, a parasite asks, where is my share? A man creates, a parasite says, what will the neighbors think? A man invents, a parasite says, watch out, or you might tread on the toes of God.
Brian. I think this game is making the point that you might not be that based after all.
Right.
What if he was not based?
In the end, all that matters to me is me. And all that matters to you is you. It is the nature of things.
Brian. New goal, kill Andrew Ryan. Wow.
Even in the book of lies, sometimes you find truth. There is indeed a season for all things. And now that I see you flesh to flesh and blood to blood, I know I cannot raise my hand against you. But know this, you are my greatest disappointment. Does your master hear me? Atlas? You can kill me, but you will never have my city. My strength is not in steel and fire. That is what the parasites will never understand. A season for all things. A time to live and a time to die. A time to build and a time to destroy! Come now, my child. There is one final thing to discuss.
What? Ryan set the core to self-destruct. This is different than what you did. He's got a mind to take down the whole damn city. Get in there and whack the chunk before the whole joint blows.
Like I have time.
Initial deployment, Vita Chamber. Client Orion Industries, stage 1, age complete. Sinclair and Alexander tried to explain the science to me, but the Suchong does not believe them. They keep saying plasmid reconstruction this and quantum entanglement that, and then poof, dead people come back to life. Bullshit! Of course, Ryan will only allow it to be tuned to his genetic frequencies for the testing.
Foreshadowing. Vince Vaughn was indeed in the season of True Detective. Not the best of them. Probably actually the worst season of True Detective, actually. What is it, 3? First one's still the best. Would I be correct in assuming this is a good place to stop and then like one more stream and then we're done? Because it feels like it might be. I don't know for sure. I feel like I think people just like Street Fighter 4 better than 5, honestly. But I don't know much about it. Should be 1 or 2 more night streams? Well, the good old wondering how much longer in a blind playthrough. You never know. But I am feeling kind of tired. So, and we just got to a new like spot, so it might be a good idea anyway. We can think about the rest the next time. It's been what, almost 4? No, it's been 3.5 hours. I guess not that long. But yeah, we'll probably get back to this next time, which might be a little bit longer. Well, I'm not sure. Yeah, maybe it'll be like, what is it? It's Tuesday, so maybe Wednesday, or yeah, Wednesday or Thursday, unless I do some other game. But we'll be back to this not too long from now. As always, I'll keep an eye, keep posted in the Discord. By the way, Wednesday and Thursday. I don't know. Do I have a Discord command? Because there we go. Subs can get into the Discord, and you want to do that soon if you're a sub and you're not in there, because there's the movie night coming up pretty soon. If you've been subbed before, I mean, maybe we can just get you in there, but if you want to watch Texas Chainsaw Massacre. But otherwise, if you're a sub, just connect your Twitch account and then go to the connections thing and you can get in there. And you don't need to stay sub to stay in the Discord or anything. You can talk about scary movies, Nintendo stuff. I don't know. We've got a whole channel for horror movies stuff. Or horror games, really. Not the new one. No, not the new one. It's the original Texas Chainsaw Massacre. Which... First of all, the new one, very, very graphic. Not super great. But there's some good kills if you're into that. But the original one, surprisingly, if anyone's on the fence, surprisingly, it's a lot more tame than you would think from a movie called Texas Chainsaw Massacre. I mean, for one, it came out in 1974. Second of all, most of the graphic content is, I don't know, maybe implied more than shown. Although, it's still a very gross feeling movie for various reasons. But, it's more in like the set design and stuff. I don't know. Yeah, I would say it's definitely way less way less graphic than you would imagine that movie to be. It honestly, I wonder if it would even get an R rating today. Are we allowed to talk? I don't know. Well, the thing is, you can chat, but like, you know, don't want to be talking over the movie. So, text chat is maybe better. You know, it is a horror movie after all. I don't really want to kill the vibes. Maybe I'll just turn off voice. I don't know what I'll do. I'm not sure how to handle that. Because I've never really run one before. So just yell circus of value every 5 minutes. I feel like every time I've been in like a movie night type deal in a Discord with like a small amount of people, I don't think voice was ever forced off, but people didn't end up talking much because, you know, the movie's playing. So I don't know. We'll see. But there will be a text channel for the movie specifically, so you can talk about it there as well. Anyway, that's tomorrow night. Texas Chainsaw Massacre, good movie, great movie. If you want to watch the sequel / reboot that just came out on Netflix, technically all you need to do is watch the first movie. You know, it's funny, Texas Chainsaw Massacre, like every movie, as far as I understand it, is basically just a sequel to the original movie and ignores everything else. Or it's like a prequel. Or it's a reboot entirely. There's a prequel, I think a reboot. The Netflix one is... Look, if you just want a slasher movie where Leatherface kills some people, and other than that, and you just want to like see some people get chainsaw murdered, and you walk into it with that expectation, you can enjoy the Netflix one. Also, it's on Netflix. It's not like you have to, you know, go to the movie theater for it. So, I don't think anything could be like, yeah, that joke is in the trailer, and it's exactly as bad as it seems. It's a bad joke. There's some other questionable things about the movie, but I don't know. If you can turn your brain off and enjoy some... Look, it's a slasher movie. Like, the original one is probably, I would say it's like elevated beyond most slasher movies, but like, if you're into slasher movies, there's some real stinkers out there. Like, half of Friday the 13th is like not good. I don't know. There's not, you know, it's not like all those series didn't have a bunch of really bad movies, or like at least whatever movies. Halloween had a bunch of ones people didn't like. Friday the 13th did too. Hellraiser goes down the dumpster at some point between movie 3 or 4, depending on who you ask. You know, Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2 is a pretty good sequel, but it's also like a horror comedy movie compared to the first one, which is, I guess it has elements of that, but it doesn't really cross over into the comedy thing that much compared to the sequel, which is like basically full-blown horror comedy, I guess. Kind of a messed up one, but you know, it's an enjoyable movie though. The original Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2. I don't think we'll do a group watch of that though, because I watched that like pretty recently. So, I don't know. We might do more movie nights in the future. Right now, I just wanted to do this one because I know Spock wants to see it. Gotta watch Shaun of the Dead. I just watched Shaun of the Dead like a month ago or something. Actually. Great movie. I used to watch it like all the time in high school. Love that movie. Anyway, thanks for watching. We'll be back with BioShock probably later this week. I will let you know. And honestly, if we're not back with BioShock, we'll be back with something else. I will stream. Also, N64 Mania on Friday. I should be able to join this week, unlike the last 2 weeks. So, Nintendo 64 stuff will happen too.